personal space is not really necessary for human life. When you live in a small little room with another human being and a dog, a furry dog, you realize that you actually don't need personal space to survive, because if you did, then you wouldn't be able to survive in a van. I'm always in the way of the other person. The way that we built our van out, the hallway is very skinny to get from the front of the van where we drive to the bed is a very skinny area, and in between that is both a sink on one side of the van and a stove on the other side of the van. And so just trying to get from front to back, if we're both in here doing stuff, I'm cooking, he's doing something else, we're actually both in the way of each other constantly, and you have to be okay with that if you want to live in a van, because you will run into each other on a daily basis. You literally live on top of each other. It gets really, really cold when it's cold. It gets really, really hot when it's hot, and we contemplated putting an AC on our van, and then we thought, well, it's going to use a ton of power. We're not going to be able to use it unless we're plugged into shore power, which we like to be off-grid, and you don't always want to have to plug in. You don't always want to stay in a campground, because one, it costs money, two, you're around all these other people. Anyway, so we didn't put an AC in here, and we ended up driving this van all the way from Idaho to Florida. And in the beginning it was okay. It wasn't too hot in Florida, but like today, it's like almost 90 degrees, and it's probably 90 degrees humidity. So I'm sitting in this van right now and dying. And this could be resolved if we had an AC, but where would we plug in? By living in a van for 3 or 4 months, I learned that if you have a dog in a van, you're gonna have hair in places that you didn't even know that it could go. So definitely have a lint roller with you at all times, because like the last thing you want to do is like go into the store and you know, you're wearing like a black skirt and they're like, oh, I really like your skirt, it's a really nice color gray, you know, like that's really pretty. And then you look down and you're like, oh, well, yeah, thanks. So you're gonna be vacuuming your van every day, you're gonna be sweeping your van every day. Like for us in Florida, it's covered in sand. And so, like, even hiking trails are sand. And so our van is covered in sand, like, you would not believe. So you just have to get used to that. You just have to get used to, like, well, I once went to the beach and now I'm going into the beach in my van, because that's what it's like. There's sand everywhere. You don't actually really need a shower in a van. We put a shower in our van. We used like a utility sink from Home Depot, and we like cut it down and made it into a shower pan, right? Seems super awesome, good idea. We saw it online. We're like, yeah, heck yeah, that's a good idea. We're gonna rock it, and it's gonna be the best thing ever, right? Have we ever used our shower in our van? No. Do we use it for storage? Yes. That's where we put all of our dirty clothes in our van, because it's really not practical to use a shower. I think if anything, what you should do in a Sprinter van is have an outside shower. When you go to the bathroom, it feels very, very vulnerable. I mean, the bathroom time is a vulnerable time for any woman. You have to take your pants down, you gotta sit down on the toilet. You just have to hope that like nobody is gonna like open the door, or like you don't want anybody to hear you going to the bathroom, you know, because you might get kind of embarrassed because you're like, oh, well, I'm supposed to be ladylike, and like I'm making all these like gross sounds and I don't want anyone to hear me, you know, because what if it starts smelling in the bathroom? Well, when you're in a van, especially with somebody you love and care about and that sort of thing, you have to be totally okay with, like, you know, bodily functions. You have to be okay with their bodily functions. They have to be okay with your bodily functions, because, like, at least the way that ours is set up, our couch actually goes over, like, our toilet area and that sort of thing, and so it's all just a big couch. And so you, like, lift up the cushion and then sit down in the toilet, on our composting toilet. And so like somebody could be sitting on the couch and then you're just like sitting there like, you know, taking a dump, and you have to be okay with that if you live in a van. It really sucks when you have to dump the urine in your composting toilet like all the time, because it's like 2 to 3 gallon tank, like urine tank for urine. And so I don't know if you guys know how much urine like we like excrete in a day, but it's a lot. And with 2 people, you have to dump that thing literally like every 2 days. And everybody on YouTube says, yeah, well, it's really cool because you can just like go into any business and dump it and stuff. Do you know how awkward that would be? I mean, I haven't done that yet. I've always like found a campground or found like a dump station or whatever. Do you know how awkward it would be if you literally just like, I'm just gonna like walk into McDonald's and just like, I don't know, like have just a tote and put it in there and like go dump it? Like, what are they gonna think? Like, oh wow, that person is peeing like crazy, you know? They're peeing so much that it's like splashing and doing all this. Because when you dump this urine tank, I mean, it splashes everywhere. It gets everywhere. You have to be so careful. It gets everywhere. Oh, well, should I get like some high-end tote so they think, oh, like it doesn't matter. She's not doing anything weird because she has this expensive tote, you know, and just make that my pee tote. I have to be okay with, if you're tall like me, I'm 6'3" and I live in this van. I barely fit in here with bare feet. So yeah, I hit my head on like all the corners. Like we built all these cabinets. We built all of our upper cabinets so that we can have enough storage for like, you know, dishes, food, clothes, that sort of thing. I hit my head on the corners of those every day I think that I'm in here. Oh, who put that there? Who put the shelf here? Seriously, who would put a shelf above the sink? Oh, who put that there? Oh God, who put that there? And then we built a cabinet above the cab. There's a bunch of empty space where we didn't use it, and it wasn't really usable. There was just a headliner there with just like empty space, and so we built up our own headliner, covered it in carpet. Anyways, so I hit my head on that thing all the time. Oh God, who put that there? Thank God my husband convinced me to put carpet on it, because if not, I don't know that my forehead would really exist at this point. It would be terrible because I've hit it so many times. I've hit it so hard that it brought me down to the couch, and I was sitting there like this, like with tears in my eyes, and my husband walks by and he's like, "Are you okay? What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, yeah, I just hit my head again. And he's like, really? You need to wear a helmet, you know? And so if you're 6'3" like me, you should probably just buy a helmet. I mean, and just live in your van with a helmet on, because it will save you a lot of headache. And by headache, I mean literally headache. I've been 6'3" since I was probably like 15, so 12 years. I've been 6'3" for 12 years, and during those 12 years, I have not learned that I'm 6'3" because I think, well, I'll make it, you know, or I see the person in front of me going underneath whatever it is, if it's a doorway or if it's a cabinet or whatever, and I'm like, oh, cool, you know, I'll just walk just like they do, right? No, Caitlin, don't walk like they do. You're like a foot taller, and you're gonna hit your head and wish that you weren't alive for like 5 minutes because it's gonna hurt so bad that you just want to cry. Yeah, okay. You need to make sure that everybody knows you live in a van. If you don't let them know, they will come up to you in the grocery store. They will say, "Is that your red van out there?" And you'll say, "Yeah, that's my red van out there." You know, they'll start going on and on and on about everything they did to their van, and pretty soon you went to the grocery store for some milk, and it's been 5 hours, and you both have exchanged life stories about why you did van life and what you do now and how you did your whole conversion, and generally it ends with opening the door to the van and you all exploring your conversion and what you did and that sort of thing and what you do different. And you might as well just say, "Hey everybody, I converted a van." If you go anywhere in your van and anybody knows anything about YouTube and van life, then they will come up to you and they will talk to you. So you have to be comfortable with that. If you want, you can come up with a whole spiel, write it down, memorize it, and you can just tell that to everybody that comes up to you. That's kind of what I do. If you're gonna live in a van, you have to own it, because you can't be shy about it. Because people are gonna want to know. They're gonna be interested. People are gonna want to see your van. It's pretty amazing to have everything in your van that you need. And you can just get in your van and go wherever you want to go, and you have everything you need to like stay out there and stay off grid and camp out, go exploring, go hiking, go fishing, whatever you want to do, you have it all in there as long as you keep it equipped. You have to keep everything in the van that you would need for every occasion. For example, we keep all of our beach stuff in here, we keep our camping stuff in here, and our like 3-day hiking packs, just in case we get a wild hare and we're like, well, we really, you know, we haven't been on a hike in a while, we want to go on a hike, and load the dog up, just load some food in the fridge, and you're off. And it's super freeing to know that if you do simplify your life, and if you are able to get down to just what you need, then you can have it all in your van, and you can just get in your van and go and explore and live the life that you want. You don't really need as much as you think. You really don't. We had so much camping stuff. I mean, I kid you not, we had like 15 headlamps for 2 people. Like, we don't even have 15 friends. I don't even know who we were gonna ever give those to. Like, okay, let's just like go invite some 15 strangers, well, 13 strangers to go hiking with us, and then we have headlamps for them, I guess. I think we both learned that, like, if you have a lot of things, it really brings a lot of stress, and having less really is less stressful. You don't have to worry about losing it. You don't have to worry about what to do with it if you're out of town. You don't have to worry about someone stealing it. And once you get used to living with less, you don't have to spend as much money because you don't desire the same things, right? And I think that's what it's all about, is making memories together and just living life based on memories and not things. But when you don't have as much, you're not in that mindset of being devastated if you don't have that thing. Okay, like, I don't have an ice cream scoop, and like, I've had people come over and they're just devastated. Like, why don't you have an ice cream scoop? You should have an ice cream scoop. And I'm like, look, dude, just use a spoon. You just grab the spoon, you scoop the ice cream out, and it's just the same. It's just like a different shape of scoop. It's still a scoop. Just call it a scoop. This is your ice cream scoop. It's a spoon, right? It's a spoon. But like, people are just so adamant that like things have to be a certain way, and if they're not a certain way, you're just like weird. You know, you're weird and you don't fit into our box. Not stressing out about, oh, what will someone think if I don't have this thing, or what will someone think if I do have this thing? Will they think I'm a better person? And the reality is that people are going to remember you for what kind of person they think you are, not by what you own or what you buy, what you spend your money on. I hope that we can make some funny content and just kind of bring life to the idea of van life. You know, bring the light to it and the humor, because there's some humorous parts about living in a van, and I think they should be explored.